important, thank you, Nikki. The reason for this training is so that we prepare well in advance for the speech contest season. Normally the speech contest season officially in District 74, not even officially, traditionally starts in the new year. But as our district has grown so large and we're now looking after 12 countries, some of our clubs might be starting a little bit earlier, and hence this training has started a little bit earlier. We are very, very privileged this afternoon to have with us Nikki Quinn, DTM. She is a past district director of this district. And for me, what is great to have her part of this program is she was actually the one that proposed at our council meeting, I think it was a year ago, Nikki, 2 years ago, where she actually proposed that during COVID, we brought back speech contests. Ladies and gentlemen, she is that passionate about the speech contest in the Toastmasters calendar. Nikki is presenting to us today and going to be sharing her experience and her knowledge, and for her own personal records and an application that she's in the process of completing, she is recording this session and has set up this session to meet the requirements of that particular application. But I'm super excited because those requirements fit our requirements as well. So that is why your chief judge took full advantage of this opportunity to have someone as awesome as Nikki Quinn with us and hosting one of our sessions. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please give a very warm welcome to our past district director, distinguished Toastmaster, more than once, more than twice, ladies and gentlemen, Nikki Quinn.
Thank you so much, Kirsten, and thank you to everybody who's joined us today. Wow, I know that at least some of us are going to have in-person contests this year. I don't know what you personally are going to do at your club, but I'm sure some clubs will have in-person contests. There will be probably some hybrid contests as well. We'll only know for sure after this weekend, after the council meeting, which takes place on Saturday. So if you're interested in the results of what our district leadership decides, I'd encourage you to attend that council meeting. Now, there are so many contests, and I want you to just, maybe in the chat box, just type, or even just think about it. Which contests do you enjoy the most? Is it table topics? Is it the humorous contest? Or is it the prepared speaking contest? There are other contests too. Evaluation, tall tales. We do 3 of them in District 74. So I'd like to know which you enjoy most out of all of the contests. Just type it in the chat box. I'd also like to know, so which one do you enjoy most of the various different levels? We have club contests, then those who are successful in the club contest succeed to the area contest, the division contest, district, regional finals, semi-finals, and then the international prepared contest, which is the absolute final. And for the last 2 years, do you know that somebody of Zimbabwean origin, just the country just north of us, and I see at least one Zimbabwean on this call now, actually won the contest in the last 2 years. So why are we talking about training? Why are we talking about scripts? Why are we talking about checklists? Well, many of you may not have attended an in-person contest ever, or even just in the last few years. I loved contests when they were in person, especially when if you were a dignitary or a role player or a functionary, somebody gave you a bar of Cadbury's Dairy Milk or something. So I really did enjoy the in-person contests, and I'm looking forward to attending a couple of club contests that may be in person this year or hybrid. But why are we doing this? We need to ensure that our contests are valid. We can't just plod along and do contests and they're not valid. We need to make sure that we adhere to the protocols. We need to make sure that we adhere to all the rules. We don't want one of our successful contestants to get to the next level and be told, I'm sorry, you competed in 2 area contests. You would have to be disqualified. We also want to ensure that our contestants are well prepared so that they know what to expect when they go to the next level. And the final thing is knowing what to expect at the next level. I've had the honor of attending 5 in-person contests at the international level. So where Cyril Jr. Dim, the Zimbabwean, won this year in Nashville, I was there in the room. I've also had the opportunity of being a functionary in some of those contests. And I want to tell you that everything we do at a club level, an area level, district level, is repeated at further levels. And that's why our Chief Judge, Kirsten Bosworth, is a bit fussy about making sure that we always do the right thing, because it's going to be exactly the same at the next level. And you can ask any of our contestants, Verity, you can ask Gary Tintinger, you can ask Tandwe Fika, any of our contestants over the many years that District 74 has been competing, and they will tell you the same thing. The briefing's the same, the judging form's the same. They even select the contestants in the same way. I've now got just a little bit of Toastmasters trivia, and seeing as we're quite a small group, I'm going to ask you to actually unmute if you know the answer to this. Do any of you know who this gentleman is?
Mr. Peck.
Mr. Peck. Yes, it is Mr. Peck. He has visited us in Africa, not only here in Southern Africa, but also in West Africa in person, along with his wife, Betty Ann. And on his world tour, he attended many of the clubs, a club in every single region, every single country where we have a club around the globe. And I saw a couple of you recognizing Richard. I want to challenge you even further and ask you if you know where he is.
Is that not this year's speech contest?
It's not this year's speech contest, but close. It was at the same venue, Matthew. Kirsten?
So the international business meeting at International Convention.
That's right. He's chairing the international business meeting where we elect our members of the board. Some of you may know Aletta Rashar. I'm sure Wally does, because I've been in the same room with Wally and Aletta at the same time. So Aletta was elected as the second vice president at this very meeting. But I want to look beyond that. It's obviously warming up to the meeting because the room isn't full. I want you to have a look and see what Richard Peck has in front of him. It's quite big.
Book.
It's a book. It is. It is. It is a script. It is the script for running the annual business meeting at the International Convention. It doesn't change much. I can tell you that I had one when I was the district director running the council meeting in District 74. I can tell you that Andrew Tsura will have a very similar script. And Jabulo Tela had a similar script too. And so did all the other district leaders before us. And when you go to one of these meetings, you are amazed that they actually get it right. Well, it's not by fluke. they have a script. And it really is critical to actually follow that script. And it's worth learning a lesson from Richard Peck. He's a very humble guy. He occasionally says a little joke and he says, that wasn't in the script. And everybody has a little giggle. But it's really, I think it sets us up well for success. And in online situation, it's easy to have a script. But in these events, when you're in person, have a script too. You can very easily have a full deck of papers in front of you, or like Richard's got, a book, Matthew. It is a very thick book. It's a long meeting. So it's important to do that. And I would encourage you all to take advantage, especially considering that Kirsten has actually done quite a bit of work on the scripts, which she hasn't loaded yet, but I'll tell you where they'll be in a week or two. So I am now going to ask hypothetically, and I'm not going to, yes, Kirsten.
So I was just going to comment that what's amazing about that script that Richard Peck works off, because I attended that business meeting online. I was, so we got to, the camera was quite close up to him. Certain pages in that script are paper, and then certain pages are actually in plastic. So I was actually thinking to myself that I think at times he was allowed to make little notes on the paper, but the pages that were in the plastic, those were non-negotiable parts of his script that he couldn't actually change. But I noticed that there was, and when you look at that photograph, if you do look very closely, you'll see that some of this, there's extra width. Some of the pages are actually in plastic. That is how strict Toastmasters is about scripting and about the script, the protocol of things. I just wanted to mention.
Perfect. Thank you, Kirsten. So just by a show of hands, either virtual or physically, have you ever competed in or been an official at a Toastmasters contest? Yep. And I know Rurumai has too. But I also know that there's a couple of you in this room who, in fact, have not done that in person before. Could those who have never been to an in-person contest before, please raise your hands? Yep. And I can tell you, across our district, you are in for a treat if you get to go to an in-person contest. I think Wally will agree. I think Kirsten will agree. I think we had a few more people joining us, and I think they too will agree. So brace yourself. It's now going to become really, really exciting. And at the international contest, Morag Matheson, our international president-elect, she chaired that contest. She too had a script. Some of you may have been in the room earlier before we actually started. And when I've been at that contest, I mean, how do I know? I've been called into the back room to help our leaders who speak only English and are not familiar with some of the Zulu and Xhosa names to ask me, hey, how do I pronounce Jabulani Mangena? How do I pronounce Nchabulo Tela? So they really take a lot of pride in that script. So that is background, and I really want to encourage you to utilize the material that we have available to us. And there are two places in fact, there are three places that you can get that material from. The first place, and when I'm asked what is the most valuable resource at Toastmasters, I have to tell you that my answer is people. So this morning I had a question and I phoned my past club president, my club's past president, our district parliamentarian, Keith Bowen, and I asked Keith a question. I asked Kirsten to help me organize this. People are an incredible resource in Toastmasters. So lean into those folks who have run in-person contests before. whether you are a contest chair, organizing the contest, the chief judge, a judge, lean in, ask for advice, because they are an incredible source of knowledge. Whether they have 3 years experience, 2 years experience, or 33 years experience, people can help. But then in addition to that, we have a new thing that wasn't around. It was around when I first started Toastmasters, but when I first started working, there really was no WWW. And I suspect that probably Wally will agree with me too. There was no WW, and even Kirsten, and Kirsten is a little bit younger than us. So we have another incredible resource, and on the World Wide Web, we have the Toastmasters International website, and I know it's getting a lot of criticism at the moment, but it is there, and there is a lot of resource because I downloaded it last night in preparation for this. And then the second source, which is probably less used, is the Toastmasters District 74 website. And they are both really, and especially when it comes to contest and these council meetings that are happening in the forthcoming weeks, they are really super, super useful. So this is the Toastmasters International website, and there's actually a page dedicated to speech contests. There are tutorials there. Obviously, the speech contest rulebook is there. And how do you know that you are looking at the most up-to-date speech contest rulebook? Yes, Kirsten?
As chief judge, I'm thinking I need to know the answer. So the winner, the current world champion at the time of print will be on the cover of the speech contest rulebook. So in our particular case, the book went to print when Verity, our very own Verity from District 74, was the world champion. So her face is on the current rulebook.
Exactly. And next year, at the beginning of the Toastmasters year, I guarantee you, Cyril Junior Dim will be on the front cover of the rulebook for 2023-2024. It just rolls over, and you can go back and look at all the rule books, and you will find the world champions on those covers. So the rule books there's an FAQ session. There are notes about online speech contests, because some people may end up running online speech contests. It depends on what the club is doing. It'll give you information about the regional quarterfinals. It'll give you information about the semi-finals. You can meet the world champions here. There are tutorials. There's a lot of information. It's really worthwhile. I have to tell you, my very first contest that I judged at, I've been a Toastmaster for about 13 years. And my very first contest that I judged at was an area contest, but there was only one contestant to start with. The second contestant decided at the last minute, oh, I'm going to compete. And you won't believe what actually happened. The second contestant, the guy who was not going to compete, actually won the contest. So he went to the next round, and then the next round, and the next round. But you can imagine at that contest, the chap who was the only one who was going to compete was a little bit annoyed. I learned so much about contests that first year, and some of it came from the international website. And I was encouraged to learn about contests. And like I said, I've loved contests ever since. So when you go into this document and now understand, right, we're going back to printing stuff, right? We will be having hard copies of the judges' ballots. We will be having hard copies of the tally counters sheet, of the timesheet, because we're not going to be, if we're in a room, we're not going to be sitting there on our phones or on our computers capturing the results. We are going to be doing it on actual ballots, right? Now, to make it easy for all of you, there's actually, for table topics, for evaluation, and for prepared speaking, on this website, there's actually an international, there's a kit. And in that kit, you can see quite clearly there are the certificates, the first, second, and third place certificate for being a participant. You may decide that you're going to do those virtually and fill them in and send them to somebody. You don't necessarily have to print those certificates out. But I think it'll be amazing for those first contestants who've been to so many contests and not been presented one physically to actually receive one physically. But all of your ballots are here, all of your notification of the results, everything is, as well as the rule book, everything is in this pack. And I would encourage you to utilize those contest kits. This is where they are, toastmasters.org resources, and then the International Speech Contest. I'll actually share these with Kirsten, and Kirsten can share them on your WhatsApp groups and things like that, although I'm sure Kirsten has got them. As I mentioned, the second place is then the Toastmasters District 74 webpage. And how do you know that this is the Toastmasters 74 webpage? Because right there, that person is me, along with Frank Tsura over here, and I believe that this is Igoli Golden City Club. It is receiving their award for the President's Distinguished at one of our in-person Hall of Fames a few years ago. So that's the District 74 website. Where do you go then? Over here, you can see quite clearly there is a little tab that says Speech Contests. You just click on that, and you get to some information about the contests, which Kirsten will be updating, but it is going to look exactly like this. And you can see that there are, the forms are all here, but there's also a contest script, and there's also a briefing script. I'm not going to go through the briefing script today at all, but we are all going to have an opportunity now to just perhaps read a page so that we can see how we do it. There are gaps, right? And you would have to fill in your contestant's name where the gaps are. Who would like to read one part of a contest script to start off with? Matthew. No? Yes? Cool. So I'm bringing that up. So this is, I would suggest, you can, it says, and this is the International Speech Contest chair script. It does say that you can tell a small story to warm the audience up at the beginning, and then it goes into the script. And this is what is, I imagine Kirsten's are going to look very similar. But Matthew, would you just like to read this one page for us? Show everybody how easy it is.
Thank you very much, Nikki. Okay, cool. Going to begin now. International Speech Contest chair script. Welcome, Toastmasters and guests, to the speaking contest workshop. Wait, quick question, Nikki. What do you want me to add for there?
So you can put your club name.
Okay, cool.
Club name.
Let's do this.
And then area, just guess area. If you don't know what area you're in and what division you're in, that's okay. Just say anything. But I will.
He's the area director, Nikki, so I'm really hoping he knows what area he's in.
Okay, sorry. My bad.
Right.
No, not cool. Your bad. Not your bad at all.
Off you go.
Welcome Toastmasters and guests to the District 74 International Speech Contest. The first place of tonight's contest will go on to represent the district at the regional and at the district level. No, guys, I'm confusing this. Sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
Welcome, Toastmasters and guests, to the Bryanston Breakfast Contest, International Speech Contest. The first place of tonight's contest will go on to represent the club at the area level and then later at the division level. Tonight, we have the honor to greet our dignitaries, you all, Kirsten, Wally, DTM, Christopher, and Nikki, DTM. I would like to read out the purpose of the contest as defined by Toastmasters. Firstly, 1, to provide an opportunity for speakers to improve their speaking abilities and to recognize the best as encouragement to all. Rocky start, but I got it.
Exactly. So it makes it so much easier. And like I said, when you're doing it online, it's quite easy, right? But even when you're doing it in person, don't be uncomfortable. We always used to have a clipboard and utilize, Wally's nodding his head. Wally has seen that when he's attended in-person contests before. I'm going to give the opportunity to somebody else. Kirsten, I can only see 6 blocks. Is somebody else like to read another part of the script?
I'm sure Dorothy would love to read the next part and share her experience.
Can we get her approval?
Dorothy, if you just unmute yourself, there we go. That means
Yes,
she said
yes.
yes, Nikki.
Yes, yes. Over to you, Dorothy. This is a Zoom script, but that's okay. I just want you to get the practice. Over to you.
Thank you. Before we start, I would like to point out a few rules again. From now on, we will disable the chat box here on Zoom. Only use our WhatsApp groups when it is necessary and when it is related to the contest. Our officials are relying on WhatsApp to communicate during the contest, and when unrelated messages pop up, they will be distracted. My backup as contest chair for tonight's contest is Sikangelwe. Our Zoom master is Wally, and his backup is Kirsty. Our chief judge is Kirsty, and the backup is Coach Dorothy. The timers are Nikki and Willie. Please join me in thanking all the officials for undertaking roles. We have 3 contestants tonight, and the speaking order of the contest is as follows. Speaker number 1, ABC. Speaker number 2, DEF. Speaker number 3, XYZ. Back to you, contest chair.
Now, Dorothy didn't follow the instructions in the blue writing. So when we introduce our speakers, and this is so important in a country like ours, where some names are complex for others to understand. I'm sure Nikki Quinn is a difficult name for many to understand. For others, Jabulani Mangena might be a difficult name to understand. So we always pause and repeat. And in fact, in this day and age with technology, we often actually flash them up on a screen so that people can see them. And that's for the judges to make sure that you're judging the right person and that you've got the right speaking order. Because, you know, in a big contest, there might be 10 speakers. You can't remember that the girl with the blonde hair, the glasses, and the red lipstick is Joe Bouquet. You can't remember that the gentleman with the gray hair and the slight stoop is Mr. Bill Bryson. You can't remember that, right? So you have to make sure you have the names right. And there could even be 2 people. You've noticed, I'm sure, that there are many people that are called Karen. There are a number of Toastmasters called Njabulo. You know, my name is Nikki Quinn. My maiden name was Nikki Harris. My sister-in-law's name is Nikki Harris because she's married to my brother. It's very confusing in our house. My name is Nikki Quinn, in brackets, Harris. Her name is Nikki Harris, in brackets, Williams. So we have to be very careful about things like that. We don't want to mix people up. I do have another one that we could actually, another extract from the script that somebody else could read. Would anybody else like to take the opportunity to practice reading the script?
Nikki, I'd like to nominate Wally. He is, I can see him already practicing as he's scanning over your slide there.
Thank you, Wally.
Yeah, I've done it before, so I should still remember how to do it. I might be a bit slow on the blue parts.
That's okay.
I confirm that all contestants have been briefed. Then let the contest begin. I confirm that all contestants have been briefed. Then let the contest begin. Contestant Nikki, are you ready?
I am.
Please help me welcome contestant Nikki with her speech title, I'm Here. I'm Here, contestant Nikki. Okay. We will now have a 1 minute of silence for the judges. Timer number 2, please indicate the completion of that minute by saying time. Repeat for the other contestants after the last speaker has finished. That's obviously not something I should read out. I would ask everyone to remain silent while the judges complete their ballots. Chief Judge, could you please indicate when you and the ballot counters are ready to leave the room? So that would be the part after the speeches are done.
Well done. Thank you, Wally. And thank you to all of you for having read those parts of the script. Of course, there are instructions in here and they have to be, so you have to familiarize yourself with the script before the actual contest. I have seen people use the script without reviewing it before the contest. It probably is as effective as not using a script because you forget to do these things, right? So this is the part that you're going to repeat for all of the contestants. And remember, as I said, there may be some differences in the script that our Chief Judge Kirsten Bosworth is preparing now because of the format of the contests that we may have. We don't know exactly that. This is clearly, under normal circumstances, you would not ask the contestant if they were ready in a room, but we did ask them if they were ready in the Zoom room. So that's why that's there. And then you might want to say, you might want to like add some lines here. Please help me welcome contestant Nikki with her speech, I am here. I am here, contestant Nikki. And you may want to write there, contestant Christopher with bang, bang. Well, you just know that you have to repeat it, but that is the correct way to introduce the speakers. And as I said, that is exactly what happens at a district. It happens at a club level, area level, district level, and at the semis, the quarterfinals, or the quarters and the semis, and finally at the World Championship of Public Speaking. There is one of the scripts for each of the contests that we will be running in District 74. There's one for evaluations, there's one for table topics, and there's one for international prepared. I do want to say that, and I don't know what's going to happen, none of us know what's going to happen at the moment, but it's highly likely that we will have all three, possibly maybe just 2 contests on the same evening. It really is important that at the end of each contest, we say that that concludes the area A1 or that concludes the Transformers Toastmasters Club International Speech Contest. Congratulations to everyone else. So each contest needs to be closed off before we move to the next contest. So those scripts are going to be loaded, and I'm sure Kirsten is going to share that information with everybody. I'm also sure that many of you had a very good idea of what to do during the online contests, because I saw everybody saying they'd been at their online contests, but there are more things to organize when you're doing a in-person contest or a hybrid contest. There might even be even more things to organize for a hybrid contest. So the other thing that will be available is a contest contest checklist. And this is how long I've had these documents for and worked with them. They're still called competition checklist. They should be called contest checklist. But I just downloaded them from my computer that goes back all the way. My first Toastmasters folder goes back to 2008 when I was exploring joining the organization. Yes, Matthew, I know it's scary, eh? So here we have a contest checklist, and you may need to adapt it. You know, there are also things that your club may not do. One of the things on this, I mean, you do need to confirm the venue, confirm the date, confirm if there's going to be any costs that your club should pay for, confirm if you're going to charge an entrance fee for drinks and snacks, if you're going to serve them, or whatever. You need to confirm that. Every single club is different. So this checklist will need to be adapted for individual clubs, but only a little bit, because it is important that you arrange for at least 5 judges, that you assign a chief judge, that you arrange a contest chair. And it's all listed out there. I've become less efficient at following checklists and to-do lists than I was when I was doing things in person. But I'm now realizing as everything is going back into person, it is so important to tick things off. So again, Kirsten will be loading these, and I know that she's got a question. I recognize you. She will be loading this checklist and you'll all be able to use it. I'm sure it will be posted on WhatsApp groups. She may even post the link to it on Facebook, because Kirsten's not active on Facebook. But there are checklists for the president, and some of these things you'll be able to like just cross out, and we don't do that. But I would encourage you to follow this in the main rather than just wing it. From all the way from club level. And I'm sorry, Mr. Area Director, I didn't realize that you were an area director, and I'm really pleased to see that. And at your area contest, you can do it there as well. It will really help you to actually make sure that your contestants are well prepared, that you have a successful contest, that there's never going to be any disqualifications further down the line, and everybody is going to have a great deal of fun. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes. I think I had a couple of extra slides, but I'm not going to go through them. One of them was a picture of the contest rulebook, and one of them was a slide that says Q&A. We have 5 minutes left. I'm going to open up the floor and see if there are, first of all, any questions in the chat box. And second of all, I do see that Christopher had his hand raised. Yes, Christopher, over to you.
All right, so on a club level, okay, obviously we need to fill a number of roles. I mean, we have the judges, the contest chair, the sergeant of arms, and the timer. Can any of the judges fill any of those roles? I'm just thinking about.
So no. So, and you're right. So that's quite difficult when you have a club of about 20 members, and there are many clubs that don't have as many as 20 members. So no, you cannot take on 2 roles within the contest, and you certainly can't be a judge and a speaker at the same contest. But obviously, to avoid any kind of bias, no, you can't take on a number of roles. So what I would encourage clubs to do, and I'm sure the district leadership and Kirsten and your area directors will encourage you to do this. So for instance, Transformers, I see that Rurumai is here. I think he's in the same area as Transformers, Santon, Morningside, and Rivonia. I would encourage you to share resources and work together so that you can get a nice spread of judges and other role players. Does that answer your question, Chris?
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you. Yes, it does.
Cool, thank you. Kirsten?
Nikki, thank you so much. It was really an informative session, and to just have your experience and expertise in the room. And we know how much experience and expertise in the room because we could see with your documents for how many years you have been actively involved in speech contests, right up, like you said, to international level, the fact that you had that photograph of Richard Peck. So thank you so much. I wanted to add on to what Nikki was talking about with the checklists. So I will be finalizing those checklists after the council meeting this Saturday. The council meeting, we will be making decisions on how speech contests will be implemented this year for District 74. And then those checklists will be updated. To note is on those checklists, I will identify which items are compulsory as per the rule book, and which items will be optional extras as per a high performance leadership project for whoever is running the contest. So there are going to be optional extras that somebody would want to add to it, but there are going to be parts on that checklist, like Nikki said, looking at that whole checklist. Even the rule book has checklists already printed in the back, is to make sure that we follow the rules and none of our contestants, it's a responsibility that we have as the organizers, that none of our contestants are in any way hampered in their journey through the contest. And then Chris, to answer your question, we call it contest season because it's exhausting, because we need the resources, and because you cannot have a dual role player. They can only wear one hat that night or that day for that contest. So something I would really encourage all area directors and division directors to do is to encourage their clubs to start early, and so that the resources are available. Once we get into the really nitty-gritty and everybody's chasing the deadlines because they have to finish club in time to qualify for areas, so forth and so on, then the resources become a high demand commodity and a scarce resource. And so I encourage all of the leadership and anyone organizing a contest to really start as early as possible. I'm hoping after Saturday to be able to publish a calendar where we will have an idea of when the area division semi-finals and district competitions will be will be taking place, so that the clubs can make arrangements that they finish in time beforehand, and that they're not short of resources. Nikki, it is already 6 o'clock. Is there anything you would like to say in closing as you greet us at the end of your session?
I wouldn't. Thank you very much. I know you have a choice, and I do, as to where you be this evening. And I do encourage you all to share what you have learned and share the scripts and checklists with all of those in your club and all your fellow Toastmasters. Thank you, Kirsten, so much for organizing this session. It was an absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you all for taking part.
Thank you,
Cheers.
Nikki, very much. Ladies and gentlemen, give her a round of applause.
Good
It was
evening.
really great to have you, Nikki, and to steal some of your very busy schedule. So thank you so much. Thank you to all of you as well for all your lovely comments in the chat room. They are deeply appreciated. This recording will be shared. Please, if you have not yet joined our WhatsApp group for contests, please get hold of me and join our WhatsApp group so that you do stay up to date with all the developments, and share that WhatsApp group link with anyone else that you think would benefit from as they arrange or compete in our speech contest this year. Thank you so much for all staying online. Thank you for combating load shedding. As you can see, I'm spotlighting myself with my own camera, my own cell phone. Have an awesome evening, travel safe, and carry on leading in Africa. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.
Bye. Thank you again,
Bye.
everybody. Thanks, Kirst. Bye.
Thank you.